Oh, hey, I didn't see you guys there. I'm here to talk about Dark Souls, but I didn't know I was recording, so this is a little weird. I kind of just expected to be alone and talk in my room to nothing, but I guess I can talk to the camera, that works. So I just recently got through playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I really enjoyed it and had a good time, and I want to compare it to Dark Souls because there are some similarities that you may have noticed if you played the game yourself. Also, that name is a bit of a mouthful, so I'm just going to shorten it to Fallen Order from here on out. You'll know what I'm talking about. You're smart people. You got this. I'm definitely going to gush about both of these games because they're both fucking awesome. This video has massive spoilers for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. If you're interested in playing the game, I recommend you go play it first and then come back here and watch me talk about it. But it's really good. You should play it. So first thing that I think about when I think about Dark Souls is definitely the boss fights, but level design comes in as a close second. I think it'd be pretty easy to argue that level design is much more important to what makes Dark Souls feel like Dark Souls than, say, just a boss fight does. Dark Souls 1 is special even among the Dark Souls games for having the best level design and really pioneering some of that level design that we see today. The way that the game uses Firelink Shrine as a hub, and you progress through the world and find yourself looping back around on Firelink Shrine, and the amount of shortcuts in that video game that you find, and every time that you find a shortcut, you feel a little skip in your heart being like, oh, goodness, respite, thank the lords. At least for me, that feeling is on par with the feeling of beating a boss. And Fallen Order does this very interestingly as well. Their level design is honestly phenomenal. They sort of limit themselves to a couple of planets. Why did I put it? There's more than 2 planets. Dark Souls notoriously falls off from this level design aspect as the game progresses onwards. It starts with separating into 2 locations once you reach Anor Londo, and don't even get me started on the mess that is lost to Izalith. And Star Wars has the benefit of seeing Dark Souls and where they succeeded and where they failed, and being able to take that all into consideration and make something absolutely beautiful. They take it as literal level design. They take a couple of planets and they build them in ways where you can loop around with many different shortcuts to the many different bonfires that the game has, which are the meditation areas. And it's just really well done. Never during the game did I think to myself, I think this level could have been designed a little better. It was just 100%, I thought it was fucking perfect. Literally every Dark Souls game has had some sort of fast travel, and I think Star Wars benefited a lot from not having that. How the game shows you that you've made progress through the level and opened up all these shortcuts at the end by being able to run from where you fought the final boss or whatever back to your ship, that's really cool. Level design is kind of in the middle, but I'm gonna give a point to Star Wars because I think it was much more solid, and level design kind of fell off as the Dark Souls games progressed. 1 is evidently the best level design wise, because, you know, it's just the most loopy. Lightsabers? Dark Souls doesn't have lightsabers. Point Star Wars. As I did mention, Dark Souls is kind of known for having tough boss fights, and being tough in general. And Star Wars, while not being known for like epic boss fights of course, has a similar notoriety when it comes to lightsaber battles. These 2 things seem to correlate. It seems like a no-brainer, right? All of these epic lightsaber battles turned into epic boss fights? Yes, sign me up. However, the game, in my opinion, doesn't exactly deliver on that as much as I would like it to. There are 5 major lightsaber battles throughout the game, 2 of which get dramatically cut short. We've got Trilla. We've got Trilla again. We've got the 9th sister, who's actually a really interesting boss fight, and I really enjoyed it. We've got some Jedi Master turned Sith, and we've got Trilla once again. And the boss fights in the game that aren't Jedi battles are pretty interesting, but I like lightsaber battles, what can I say, man? But let's go over them. We've got basic enemy that you fight as a boss, 4 more basic enemies that you fight as a boss, that are all optional by the way, another basic enemy turned boss, and 1 giant owl dragon thing, as well as a bunch of optional bounty hunter battles that I think are actually super well done, and integrated into the story interestingly, where you just come across them as you explore later on in the game. And as cool as some of these boss fights are, like the Trilla fights are awesome, and the big giant bird owl thing is really cool, I take issue with the amount of times that the game says, oh, you're close to beating the boss, but we're gonna end the fight anyway. When you fight Trilla the first 2 times, you just get saved because you're bad, I guess. And when you fight the owl, it like flies away and then you beat it in a cinematic action set piece type deal. And that looks great, it looked really cool, but I would have rather just like it continued to be a fight
until I ended its life.
and like not turn into this overzealous QuickTime event that I wasn't really interested in. I do realize that this isn't exactly a new thing for Star Wars video games, Force Unleashed, but I just wish that they had thought about it a little more when they were creating this game and, you know, realized that it is different from that by like a long shot. Really, I just wish that there were more boss fights, that they were more difficult, and that there were more lightsaber battles. I personally played on the Jedi Master difficulty, and looking back, I think I should have picked the hardest one, which is Jedi Grandmaster, because I kind of breezed through the game. But there are like 12 sisters, so why the hell did we only fight literally 2 of them? It doesn't make much sense. So the game teases you with Darth Vader at the very end, and I was really fucking excited. I was like, oh man, Force Unleashed style, we get to fight Vader at the end. I did not see this coming. This is so exciting. And then you just run away like a little bitch. I'd be much happier if the game let you try to fight him, and then had Cal just literally die. And that's how the game ended. I understand that they wanted to potentially come back with a sequel, and I think that's why you don't fight as many sisters as I would like to believe, because they want to leave more for, you know, future games potentially, but like, just let me fight him now, end the game here, make it super big, take like a year and make it great, or I guess come back with a sequel that's really good too. I guess I can't be too mad, but like, come on, I really wish Cal had died. I just want to feel like a really badass Jedi and not like a little baby Padawan. This is not too much task, I feel. Anyway, bosses, point Dark Souls. Jedi game has many actors with mocap. Dark Souls has graphics with, you know, voice actors. Those aren't real people. Oh my. Voice actors are real people, by the way. So we can't talk about these 2 video games without comparing how they play and how the combat feels. Just generally when you're fighting generic mobs, or even when you're fighting bosses, just how the combat feels. Dark Souls has a little notoriety about it for being, you know, a little bit clunky. And as much as I love it, I'll admit it can be a little bit clunky. It's very slow and meticulous and all about learning the enemies and the bosses' various movesets. And this is by design, and that's part of why I love it. At the end of the day, Dark Souls comes down to learning about how to do stamina management, which is not the case when it comes to Star Wars. Star Wars, on the other hand, plays like a goddamn Ferrari. It's so much faster, force powers add so much to the video game, and at the end of the day, Star Wars really makes me feel like a Jedi Knight. That's really all I have to say about it. It's an easy point Star Wars, in my opinion. I'm gonna put a little tally of the points. They don't really mean anything, I just thought it'd be fun. I think that at the end of the day, they're both great video games, and I want to see more from both franchises. Tier Dark Souls is over. But I am very excited for any potential Fallen Order sequels, because I think they'll be very good. If you enjoyed this video, I do this kind of stuff every week, every Friday I upload. You can look at more of my content around the various areas on the screen. I don't know where I put things, I do that all in post. I also have social medias, and you should like and subscribe and hit the bell button, I guess. If you want, I'd appreciate it. You don't have to or anything, but like you should. Come on, bruh. Come on. Do it, bruh. Do it.